And a very warm welcome to today's live. Happy Friday, everybody. I really hope you're doing well. And I am really excited to be back for another live. We're going live on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. And I'm going to be sharing today, talking about a really important topic: how to develop your confidence for presenting. Now, before we get going into the topic, I'm just going to double check that I have actually gone live. So I don't want it to be that I'm recording and that it hasn't happened. So I'm just going to check the stream and make sure that that looks like it's happened. So just give me a second, bear with me. Yes, it appears that I am live. That is amazing. And if you're here, by the way, joining me live, please say hi in the comments. I'd love to know who's here. So either you can type hello or hi or happy Friday, or if you want to share a network as part of this live, then please feel free to put your name into the chat just so I can recognize who's here, because it doesn't always come up on the stream. But thank you so much for joining me here today, if you are joining live, and for everybody who's also watching on the replay. It's fantastic to be back for another live. For those of you that I haven't met before, my name is Victoria Reynoldson. I'm a communication coach and cultural intelligence trainer. And I work with global professionals, leaders, and teams all over the world, helping them to elevate and amplify their communication and to connect through the power of cultural intelligence. And this is something that I've been doing for the last 9 years. In fact, it is my business birthday coming up very, very soon, which is exciting. And it's something that I'm really passionate about. I really want to help global professionals everywhere to speak more confidently, to share what they've got to say. And I am very passionate about this. Now, we're going to be talking today all about confidence in presenting. And I decided that I wanted to talk about this because this is a topic that comes up a lot. In fact, what I have noticed is it's a topic that my clients most often ask me about. So they perhaps are aware that they have to do a lot of presenting in their role, or perhaps it's because they're presenting in their second language, and that's the real challenge for them. And I am curious, I've got anybody on the live right here now. I'm really curious to see how do you feel about presenting today? On a scale of sort of 1 to 10, if 10 is, I feel great, I feel really fantastic every time I'm presenting, and 1 is, I've really just completely frozen when it comes to presenting. I'm really curious. Where are you on the scale today? So put your scores 1 to 10 into the chat. And I'm just going to check the LinkedIn live as well, just to make sure that it's going through as well. Great. So if you're here, feel free to put your scores into the chat. Fantastic. So I'm just going to also just make sure that I am live. Fantastic. So for those of you who are listening in on the replay as well, just score yourself. Where are you on that scale today? And recognize as well that it's okay to be wherever your starting point is. That's absolutely fine. Now, with this, I want you to know it's completely normal if you're experiencing any anxiety or fears around the presenting. In fact, there is an amazing statistic that says that 77% of the population have experienced anxiety or stress around presenting at any one time. And I know that for some of you, that might feel like you are stressed before the major presentations, you're under pressure, and that might lead to things like overthinking the presentation, over planning. Even in some situations, when you're in the presentation itself, you find that you are saying too much, you're just speaking and not really getting to the landing the point, or the alternative that you're giving the presentation, but it feels quite wooden and not really like you. You're not really able to communicate with your full personality. So, I know this is true for many of the people that I work with, and perhaps you recognize this as well. So, if you do, type yes into the chat. If this is how you feel, then, for sure, I want you to know that you're not alone at all. But I want to share with you some practical ways to move through this so that you can actually find and build that confidence. Because confidence, as I mentioned in a previous live, is a journey. There are going to be the ups and there are going to be the downs. So if you have a particular presentation coming up, whether that is in a few days, in a few weeks, the things I'm going to be sharing here today are going to be super practical ways for you to feel into your confidence before the event itself. Okay, so the first thing I want to share with you is all about visualization. And what I mean by this is that I am very aware that it's easy to think about all the things that could go wrong, to think about all the areas that you don't feel so confident in, where you're worried about that somebody's going to ask you a question or they're going to unpick your presentation. And what happens in this situation is you imagine the worst case scenario. You imagine where it's not going well. But what if instead you imagined the best case scenario? What if you visualized it going amazingly and according to the plan? So, how do we do that? Well, I would suggest you spend some time imagining, and you can do this with your eyes closed, or if you're somebody who's very visual, you might even write it out. But I want you to imagine yourself in the situation. And this is great, for example, if you are presenting physically in person and you're familiar with the room you're going to be in and the people you're going to be presenting to, your audience. And so, what I would be visualizing is what I'm going to be wearing on that day. I'd imagine myself walking into the room. I'd imagine myself standing confidently at the front of the room. I'd imagine myself walking and pointing to my slides. I would imagine how people are reacting to me and how they're positively nodding and listening well and agreeing with what I've got to say. And all of these moments are about visualizing success, imagining myself into the future and bringing that future moment into now. So, this is something that I think can be incredibly powerful, and it can take a few minutes to imagine it. Now, the question is, what if you're presenting in a venue, in a location you're not so familiar with, or with people you've never met before? Even in this situation, visualization can help us. You can imagine what it looks like, and you can imagine how it might be. So you might have to use more of your imagination. But again, you've got yourself as the anchor point. So you can imagine what you're going to be wearing, how you're going to be moving, and you can imagine the reactions from others. So this still can work in this situation. So that's the first technique, visualization. The second technique that I want you to think about is journaling. And let me ask you, how do you feel about journaling today? Are you a yes or a no? I'm really quite curious. So you can put into the chat how you feel about that. Well, I want to share an interesting story about journaling because I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I know it's not everybody's favorite thing to do. Despite the fact that I do a lot of writing in my work, I'm not somebody who used to like journaling particularly. In fact, I really found it something that I just couldn't get down to doing. I find myself procrastinating or leaving it until the end of the day and just not doing it. And so I really am somebody who didn't really like the idea of journaling at all. But once I had thought about the idea that I needed to do it right at the beginning of my day, before my day got started, and I had the right prompts to help me with that, then that's when it really started to work for me. So all I do is set a timer for 5 minutes. And for you, if you're new to your journaling journey, I would be writing things that would help boost your confidence. So, for example, reminding yourself why you are so great at what you do, and not in a arrogant or big-headed way, but just to remind yourself your strengths, of the things that you know to be true, the things that people tell you that you're good at and why they value you. If it's helpful, you can go back to your feedback and look at where people have told you things about where you are known for, you're famous for, perhaps even within your organization. So the idea is that you're journaling around this, and it doesn't not necessarily connected to presenting, but just more generally to how do you show up in the world and what are you really known for and really good at. And the journaling around this is to remind yourself about this, because confidence is also about reminding yourself what you're good at. So the journaling can be incredibly helpful. So set yourself a timer, 5 minutes could be all that you need. And my recommendation is to do it early morning. A variation on this, for some people who really don't like writing, I suggest making voice notes. So what that looks like is, grabbing your phone and just simply recording your voice in a voice note to yourself, and just speaking out loud the things that you know to be true, the things that you've been told over the years and you're really good at, all your skills, your strengths, your experiences that make you you. And the idea with all of this is that you're reminding yourself all about the confidence factor that you have already, the things that you can are true for you. And so with this kind of building up your self-belief, I think this works really well when you do it regularly. So frequency is important, doing it every day in the days and weeks running up to the presentation itself. And it helps build up the self-belief, the belief that you can do this, that you're almost rewiring your thought patterns to move away from what you can't do to knowing that you can do it. From there, I would also say that it's really important to practice, because not because actually, interestingly, practice makes perfect, because I don't believe in perfection, and particularly in presenting and speaking, perfection shouldn't be at all what we're aiming for. But I do believe that practice makes confidence, and that is worth striving for, aiming for. And the way to do that, well, I know that for some people, they gain a lot of confidence by writing lots of notes to go with their presentation, so they know what they plan to say. And of course, this is helpful. I certainly make notes, but I wouldn't necessarily advise writing out long, detailed notes that you plan to then either learn by heart or try and learn and then repeat, because that can also throw you if you don't remember exactly everything that you wanted to say. So for sure, plan out the broad points, the bullet points of what you want to say, but then practice by actually saying it out loud. And I find that when people verbalize, they can adjust. They can understand, that doesn't sound quite right. I'm going to say it in a slightly different way. And it's what I do myself. Like I always practice my presentations to make sure that I'm opening well, that I'm transitioning well from point to point, and then I'm closing well. How do you do this yourself? Well, I personally would be opening up a Teams or a Zoom call, which is, of course, empty, but where you can practice and see yourself on video and hear yourself. And it's a little bit of feedback. Obviously, it's not a full audience experience, but it helps you to verbalize the presentation and build up your confidence in what you're saying through practicing. If you're going to pay attention to any particular moment, then I would Pay attention to how you open and how you close. These are the lynch points, the key points where I think it's really important that you grab the attention and the engagement of the people who are listening to you. So really focus on these key areas. If you want to take it to the next level and be more, go to the advanced level with this, then why not record it and then watch it back and notice how you could improve? My only extra proviso on that is if you're going to record and watch yourself, please focus on what you're doing well, not just on critiquing and giving yourself negative feedback, because it's still really important to give yourself to recognize where you're doing it well. So the practice point is really key. And then the final thought that I want to, oh, fantastic. I can see that. Yeah, recording practice sessions can help. Absolutely. Practicing those key points. And then the final thing that I want to share with you here today is really about this concept that said is better than perfect. I know people and I've worked with people who spend a lot of time trying to get to the perfect expression of the presentation. And that's just not reality. That's not the end goal. The end goal is to share what you've got to say, to share your ideas, your expertise, your knowledge. And when you do this, then magical things happen. When you don't do it, however, this is where there's huge loss. There's a loss because the team misses out on your valuable ideas and knowledge and insights that could help move the team forward in whatever they're doing. The business that you're in, whether it's your own business or you're working in an organization, they miss out because they are missing out on ideas that could really accelerate the business, that could have genuine commercial impact. But ultimately, you miss out. You miss out on that opportunity to speak up and share your voice and to be heard and visible. So, with all of this, with this idea of confidence, what I say to you is that keep going, keep practicing, keep trying. These things are so important if you want to make progress, and really focus on the idea of expression, of having a go rather than aiming for perfection. So, let me ask you, does that resonate with you here today? Let me know in the comments whether that is something that is really resonating. This idea of said is better than perfect. So, just as a recap from today, the key areas that we have covered. So, the acknowledgement that reduced confidence or reduced confidence at times with certain presentations, contexts, or people is absolutely normal thing, absolutely normal. And actually, it's the majority of the population experience this at some time. How you can help yourself, practical ways, consider the visualization technique, consider journaling and reminding yourself why you're good at what you're doing and the value that you bring. Also have, oops, sorry, I just do that. Think about the visualization, mentioned the journaling. You can think about the voice notes, so affirmations, things that help you with your self-belief. Think about the practicing, making sure that you're really having a go at verbalizing your presentation rather than in theory in your mind. And ultimately, said is better than perfect. So if you have any questions on that or any particular personal examples you'd like to share, please feel free to put it into the chat now or reach out to me on Messenger. I'm really happy to answer any questions that anybody has. And as we come to the end of today's live, I would also love to share that I am launching soon a public speaking confidence circle, which is a small, informal, relaxed group to come together for you to practice your speaking skills, your presenting and public speaking in a way that you get maximum time to speak, but also get my feedback. Now, we're going to be kicking this off very, very soon. And the intention of it is that you get that chance to build up your confidence so you feel more relaxed when you're presenting and you're speaking in public. If that's something you'd be interested in, then please feel free to message me. I have a very special offer that's running until the end of March on this particular circle. So if you're able to join before then you can access the very special offer. And if you've got any questions about the public speaking confidence circle, again, please feel free to reach out. You can find me over on LinkedIn. My personal profile on there is Victoria Reynoldson. Well, there we have it. So that is our live for today. Thank you so much for joining me here. I can see that we've had some people live. I know some of you will be watching this on replay. I hope you have found it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I will be back soon for another live. But in the meantime, happy Friday. Have a great start to your weekend, and I'll see you very, very soon.